Everybody, this is Bergen Sullivan with JCSI. I'm here today with Timothy Visconti, joining us for another interview in our Talent Chronicles series. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you have a pretty vast experience of talent acquisition roles within industries like IT, media, pharma, and entertaining, all leading up to the founding of your current firm, PeopleLift. Did you want to give us a quick kind of explanation of how you got into talent acquisition and kind of what led you up to founding PeopleLift?
Sure, absolutely. Like a lot of folks in the talent acquisition field, I kind of fell into it. I graduated school. I started off in a different industry, and then the recession hit, and then all of a sudden, very little jobs out there. So I jumped into recruiting at the first opportunity I had, not really knowing what it was, if I'm being brutally honest there, and found the intersection of what I love to do, which is to solve business problems and help people at the same time. And throughout the 12 years or so that I was on the agency side and then transitioning to corporate, we started to find some breaks and some opportunities to improve the system from what we are now coining our employee experience platform. And that's what led to the formation of PeopleLift, which is the idea that why are we doing this way? Why is there a disconnect from the talent acquisition experience, the talent management experience, the succession experience? Why can't we tie them all into one larger strategy to improve not only the health of the employer, but the employee as well?
All right. And kind of looking at your past experiences from the company side as well as from the candidate side, what does a candidate experience mean to you, and how can that, can you make that pretty effective?
Sure. So we're defining that as we go with each of our clients, and it's unique because candidate experience is much like a life experience. You're going to have different inputs and different changes and different challenges that go through it. But for us, it is a white glove, red carpet experience from the brand unaware to your first day, to the recruiting experience, and then a heavily data centric and personalized and customized experience from your first day to your first review, and then a heavy training focus and then continuous learning and education experience from that first review to your last day. So all of these are custom built per position, per organization, per budget to allow the maximum impact. But in the end, it's all about creating the recipe for a long-term employment experience, which has been sadly, in a lot of ways, removed from the day-to-day lives. There are no gold watches and pension plans anymore. So how do we create the maximum amount of value from each of those experiences for our clients?
Okay, and kind of looking at those experiences that you're looking to get, how do you aim to provide those, with how you mentioned things are a lot different now. So how do you kind of plan for that?
Sure. For us, it's a combination of wonderful technology that's out there as well as experience of what not to do. And it's almost growth through pain in a lot of ways. So we leverage AI and machine learning based technology to help us automate the vast majority of the parts of our business that pull away from the experience. So, and then leveraging those high touch points throughout the entire employee experience, as we mentioned, through each of those three different kind of verticals we discussed, to be able to provide a centralized, customized one-sheeter, if you will, on how we can improve your overall life. So how do we integrate them? It is human input, machine input, but then also a framework that's designed around agile-based principles and methodologies to create this almost sprint-like mentality. So for engineering, for example, we have a release cycle every couple of weeks. We're going to push out new features every couple of months. So within the employee experience, we have a calibration every couple of weeks. We push out a new learning experience and a new growth opportunity for you every few months. And it's that cycle back and forth, letting the machines tell us when those signals are occurring, and then letting the human interaction, bringing the human back to HR, if you will, help drive the rest of that experience in that shift.
Okay. And do you find that you will customize those plans based on who the individual is as the candidate?
It's both sides, because we're dealing with two humans here, and so you have the hiring manager side, and then you have the employee side, and they're most of the time they're very different. They're not all going to be hiring the same persona or the same kind of culture, if you will. We highly encourage diversity of thought and the creative tension that you get within hiring diverse level candidates across the board. So it has to be custom built. But as long as the framework is stable, and as long as you're feeding the machines proper unbiased data points, then it really is a magical kind of equation that can happen as through each of those three core experiences we discussed.
Okay. And what kind of determinators do you look for to see if the plan is working? So if they are getting a positive experience?
Sure. So, I mean, survey data is a wonderful baseline. All right. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of technology that's going after what they call nudges, if you will. How do you internally respond to certain indicators? What's your overall engagement score? What's your productivity look like week over week? Kind of treating it like a stock market, if you will, because instead of looking at it as a one-time yearly review, we have multiple check-ins per month. It seems a little intensive in the beginning, but the idea is you get ahead of problems. So you have all of the base level data points, but there's a lot of ones that we're exploring as well. So, especially in this new remote world, there's this propensity of seeing, are they on Slack or are they online for a certain amount of hours per day? We push against that. We push back to output. How do you specifically accomplish the tasks that you're given and drive solutions for each of those? And then the intra experience data points, communication styles, manager feedback that all feed into that larger strategy. So it is quite complex from a 30,000 foot view, but when it really gets down to it is, how are you doing? How can we improve? And those challenges and opportunities we have within all those individual touch points that drive those future solutions.
Okay. And what type of technologies and, automative technologies do you see affecting not only the recruitment and talent acquisition industry as a whole, but also with what you're doing with the candidate experience?
Every week there's a new piece of tech out there that scares me and inspires me at the same time. So, you can have automated sourcing that it does open web data scraping to pull candidates into larger campaigns. That's one way. You see, Laszlo Block, for former head of people from Google, is now working for a group that is now doing those nudges, as I mentioned, those kind of 3 or 4 times a week little check-ins. How are you doing? Fill out this quick little look. You see that in Delta as well. How was your experience as you go to a kiosk? Did you like it? Was it okay? Or was there something we can improve? So each of those are kind of coming to the forefront. My puppy's saying hello, by the way. And the one of the more intriguing things is that you're starting to see those across the entire talent management platform now. So it used to be, we'll judge how much on-time email responsive rates, how much production you're able to produce. Now it is how quickly and how accurately are you delivering projects, so pure output based, which leaves a massive gap for how you feel. And that's where a lot of these areas are starting to get into. And I believe the evolution of talent management is going to be focused on the psychology base. How do we lift people in this now disconnected world to create those kind of connective opportunities?
Okay, and kind of also going back to your point before about keeping the human in human resources, how do you avoid coming off too automated? So when you're taking
Sure.
advantage of these awesome technologies and using them to
Mhm.
kind of automate that process, how do you still make it seem like there is a human behind the technology?
Sure. And that's the dance that anyone that's going to be leveraging or experiencing AI or machine learning is going to play with. And it's going to be you break a few eggs and you make some mistakes and you ask for candidate feedback. So one of the first things, just from a baseline standpoint, when we outbound to a certain candidate, those are all custom based to their persona. So like, who are you specifically working for? What kind of problems do we assume that you're solving? And what can we see and glean from the open web to help us create the most custom level message as UX. We're not recording your voice like Facebook or Google are doing to help drive those ads. We're really just taking an educated guess. But then the human comes in right behind that. So you're not going to work your way through 6 different bots to get to a human, like the customer service experiences these days for large companies. It is engagement, human, very quickly. And then the second tiers, as we go through those processes, will bring back more automation and more opportunities there. But there is a custom point for each of them. The second bit is and I brainwash my employees into this Disney level customer service experience, which means we're going to think about what your problems are before, and we're going to solve them before you experience them. So this real red carpet on an individual level is exceptionally important to us. It's why We Rise by Lifting Others is right there on our main page and our landing page, because we're here to help people. Now, we want to automate redundancy processes to help increase efficiency, sure, but we're not going to sacrifice that for the human element. But then when we do make a mistake, when we do come off as overly scripted or as overly programmatic, we take a step back and we say, how can we improve? And that's one of the things that we go back to each of our clients as well as our candidates to say, what can we do to help improve this? And we recently got a 5-star rating on Google that said, Tim and his group were the first recruiters that I've worked with a long time that treated us like a human. And I even mentioned to her, I was like, there was AI elements that helped us get to that point. So how can we get that experience for you at scale? So again, we're learning as we're growing in this space as well.
Right. All right. Well, that's awesome. Was there anything else that you didn't get a chance to add that you wanted to kind of speak to now?
No, just we're an employee experience management consulting firm. So when we say that, we mean that we're focused on each of those 3 core experiences. And more importantly, as we continue our growth story, that we're looking to help redefine what talent acquisition, talent management, and talent succession planning are in today's marketplace.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us again today for another episode in our Talent Chronicles series.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.